Today, we know that forensic video expert Frank Piazza is testifying. He says the March 2016 video from the Intercontinental Hotel that captured Combs' assault of his then-girlfriend Cassie was not manually altered. Joining us to discuss this and so much more is Donte Mills, trial attorney extraordinaire, back here on the LiveZone. Always good to see you, Donte.
Good afternoon, Guy. Good to see you.
All right, so let's jump through this. There is a lot to digest yet again. Every day it seems like it's a different movie, if you will. In this case, we know that you heard me just mention Mr. Frank Piazza actually took to the stand to testify. I'm curious, why would they need an actual expert, if you will, to talk about that whether or not that video was manually altered?
We have to understand that the prosecutors in a case have the responsibility of proving things beyond a reasonable doubt in a criminal case. So their job is to dot every single I and cross every T. And I know we see a lot of trials on TV or that kind of stuff, but sometimes and oftentimes in trials, it's kind of boring testimony because you have to state the obvious. So you have to bring in an expert to say that this video is real. It just can't be assumed that it is. And if they don't bring in somebody to do that, then the defense gets up and argues, that it was altered. They have no response to that, and a jury may find some doubt. So this is just part of a checklist that the prosecutors have to do. I don't think they anticipated that it would really move the needle, but they do have to check those boxes off to make sure that they're laying their bricks properly so that they can get a verdict that they're looking for.
Speaking of checking boxes off, I could tell you the box of plenty of drama was checked off yesterday when Eddie Garcia took to the stand, in essence testifying about how he was paid to give Diddy that so-called video, and to the tune of, well, initially we thought $50,000, but we discovered it happened to be $100,000. Your thoughts on that, Donte?
Yeah, well, it seems Sean Combs put a cherry on top. He was only going to give him, or the agreement was for $50,000, but he counted out $100,000 in $10,000 increments with the money machine, with money that he pulled out of a brown paper bag. That was Christmas for that security guard who happened to be working the day that this incident occurred. But I can tell you that happens often. In fact, we saw this happen with President Donald Trump, where a payoff was made because he did not want something to embarrass him. I don't think that's in and of itself illegal, and that's not going to prove the prosecutor's case here. A lot of what we're hearing is about the videotape. It's about the physical abuse that was on that videotape, but that's not a criminal conspiracy. It's not a RICO charge. It doesn't meet that level. So I think they have to get beyond the tape. They keep showing this tape almost every day. They've shown it, and they're filling in these details behind it. But they have to go beyond that and bring in other people to say there was an enterprise. There were people working for him who were doing things, not just Sean Combs trying to protect his image and stop a video that would make him look bad for getting out, because people do that all the time.
And then there's Jane. Well, that's pretty much all we know, and we know that she is set to take the stand today as well. However, she had a special request. Do you know what that request happened to be?
I do not. I know that there was
something with regard to a medical condition.
I don't know what it was. I know that oftentimes there's things that the district attorney will have conversations, or the U.S. attorney in this case will have conversations with the witness and try to make concessions so that they feel comfortable coming in to testify. So I don't know if it was something about the privacy or some things that she wanted to testify about, but other things she wanted to be excluded from having to talk about. Those are things that come up often. And especially when this case is being followed nationally and globally, I'm sure a witness coming in is going to want to make sure that they're not embarrassing themselves beyond where they need to. But it wasn't disclosed, as far as I'm aware, as far as what that special request was.
Let's get back to the basics of all of this, and that is, Donte, I could publicly say I would not want Diddy dating my sister. I mean, just hands down. Horrible dude as far as I'm concerned. However, with regard to the charges that he faces, do you think that the prosecution is going to be able to really get him on those charges?
I haven't seen it yet. I'm telling you, to me, this looks like, and we talked about it before, this looks like a criminal case about whether or not Sean Combs was a physical abuser for Cassie Ventura. We all, based on the video, presumably know the answer to that already, but the issue is that's not what he's on trial for. He's on trial for racketeering, for this RICO charge, where they say he set up this organization to further his sexual exploitation of other people. But we haven't seen evidence of that big picture scheme yet. And in fact, his accountant came in and said, this business was run very well. We made sure that we were following the rules. We paid taxes. We did everything we were supposed to do. It was a legitimate business. That was a prosecution witness who gave testimony that's beneficial to Sean Combs in this case, because they're saying his business had nothing to do with his private sexual life. And if they continue along that track and the prosecution doesn't put up other people to go against that, then I don't know if he'll be found guilty in this case. He will be looked at as a bad person for physical abuse and being abusive in a relationship, but not guilty of RICO charges, which is what he's facing right now at the time.
Donte, when we spoke last week, we were both made aware that the prosecution is actually ahead of schedule, stating that they should rest their case perhaps a week before. Many thought they would do just that. I asked you then, hey, is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing, coming from your experience? You stated perhaps it's not really a good thing for the prosecution. Do you still stand by that?
I do. And I still wonder if they're losing some witnesses that they anticipated having, if there's some subject matter that they thought they would be able to get into that they can't. And we talk about this special request, maybe even in that, it was some things where this witness wasn't comfortable saying everything that they thought the witness would say. But to say we're going to end earlier when you haven't proven everything yet to meet the elements you need, to me, is a bad sign. They still have some work to do. And I don't know if they're going to be able to get that work done in an expedited fashion, because they spent so much time on things that's unrelated to the charge, again, based on that video. So I expect that they should have a lot more witnesses who's going to come in and talk about this criminal enterprise, people who were paid by him, people they paid outside of just this video. I haven't seen that yet, so I'm just baffled by the fact that they're saying we're going to get this done shorter than we anticipated.
Yeah, very interesting to say the least. Donte, we'll end with this. I have about a minute left, and that is that disruption that took place within the courtroom yesterday. We know that a woman inside the courtroom blurted out several words in the direction of Diddy. The judge then had that woman removed. Yet again, you have been a part of many trials. Have you seen something like that? And when that happens, I would assume it disrupts whatever happens to be going on and perhaps could weigh in even on the jury.
I've been a part of that, and I've been a part of a good amount of high-profile cases. In fact, there was a case that I was just on last year where the judge had to remove somebody from the courtroom. I've been in cases where the judge had to remove family members from the courtroom who were hearing testimony that they thought, they didn't agree with, and jumped up and spoke either to the witness or to the defendant. It's a problem, but I don't think it has bigger picture implications. I think people understand that criminal charges and criminal cases, they're emotionally charged because they're serious. Sean Combs could go to jail for the rest of his life if he's found guilty here. So there's going to be people, we have to remember, courtrooms are public. So people line up and it's first come, first serve. So people from the public go in and hear the testimony. If they think something is happening in there they don't agree with, sometimes they get emotional. I don't think they should, but it happens. And if somebody is thinking Sean Combs may get off because of what they're hearing, and they want to make sure he hears it from them, how bad of a person he is, that's what it seemed like to me. But a jury isn't going to make their decision based on outbursts in the courtroom. They're going to make their decision based on the evidence that they hear that's presented to them at trial. They're going to be level-headed. I really trust juries in this country. I trust our system. And I think they'll come out with a reasonable decision at the end that they believe is right.
All right, we'll have to leave it there. Yet again, Donte Mills, trial attorney extraordinaire, joining us right here on the Live Zone. Always good to see you, sir. Make it a great day.
Good to see you. Have a good